I venture to say, I told my students this the other day, I venture to say that 75 to 80% of all black stories have never been told.
I agree.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.
I was telling folk Mother Fletcher made transition. One of the oldest living survivors of the Tulsa massacre that decimated her community. She was 7 years old, and I had the honor of interviewing. She heard her and her brother, who also made transition last year. And, this year they finally got reparations for the survivors. That was hard fought. And I imagine she could rest and breathe knowing that her progeny would be okay. Viola Fletcher, born May 10th, 1914 in Comanche, Oklahoma. She was the second oldest. Her little brother was a baby when they burnt down and killed most of their community, and they were left pretty much homeless. And had one of the stories, Dr. Black, that really burned my soul is that they were taught to they were threatened to not tell what happened under the threat of death. So that story of what happened in Tulsa didn't get shared widely because they were threatened, because she said, my mama still had to clean the house of the people that came. Now, can you imagine having to clean the house of the people that burnt down your community and killed your neighbors and family members, and you couldn't tell anybody?
It's just insane. And the thing I think that is most profound about what you're saying, Doc, is what most people don't realize is in America. I venture to say, I told my students this the other day, I venture to say that 75 to 80% of all black stories have never been told.
I agree.
And I say it that way because of this. Even when we were doing the slave narratives, probably 90% of slave narratives were actually dictated through what was called an amanuensis. We actually told a story to a white person who actually wrote it down on paper, right? Stay with me, oh God. And who in the world, especially in the 1700s, 1800s, white, was going to write what a black person said that would indict them? So in other words, they didn't write down what our elders said. They wrote down the safe parts of what our elders said.
Or as we learned through Zora Neale Hurston, the elder wasn't going to tell the whole story to that white person because, because there might be backlash, right? So I'm not going to tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth, because Zora Neale Hurston got a different story from those same people.
Absolutely. Which means when we're reading even the atrocities of things like the Tulsa race riot, when we read the atrocities of things like Rosewood, when we read the atrocities of things like rape on the plantation, the real story is worse than that. Correct.
I'm also thinking that, not only, I was thinking about Nat Turner and his I'm like, again, do we know? We won't know, which is why I think it is so important. We have been conditioned to believe that only a certain handful of people can be writers. But I am now at the place where everybody must tell the story of their family, mouth to ear, and then write that thing down. Everybody's a writer. Everybody's a journalist. Everybody in this time has to make it their business to record their family history, because it will be lost forever if not for that.
And the only reason I'm going to say what I'm about to say is because you just said something that spiritually welcomes me to make this statement. Nat Turner is in the Arrival. You're going to encounter him.
Okay.
Because as I was writing that, I'm telling you, the spirit of Nat Turner came to me. I'm telling you.
Okay.
For the very reason we're saying right now, and that is, for some of these ancestors, we have to channel them now and get their real story. And if somebody understands that, we can talk to them just like we're talking to each other right now, right? And they'll tell us the story. And listen, don't start me. They'll tell us
I
the
will.
story, and our job, as you said, our job is to write it. Every single one of us is a Jali. Every single one of us is a scribe. We have to be, because we're about 600 years behind in terms of the story of the majesty of African people.
I agree. I agree. Viola Fletcher made it to 111. Can y'all even imagine being on this earth 111 years? And
Wow.
she talked about Dr. Black still not being able to sleep well. Like she would sleep in a chair sitting up because of the terror of that night and the nights that
And
happened
something,
after that. She was afraid that she
wow.
spent her
My age.
111 years, the first seven beautiful, she talks about playing in this, and all this, and then
Right.
at age 7 on, she couldn't sleep, and now she's resting as an ancestor.
And Ashe. And you know what? Part of the issue is Tulsa was so achieved, people think of it as mythology, Karen. People don't think of it as a real place. And I figured it out. Several students even asked me, Dr. Black, was Tulsa, I mean, really, truly like their own school system? They had a dentist office? Like no blacks had gone to dentist school? This is what some of my students were saying. I was like, oh, my God, what in the heck is going on here? And what I realized is the majesty of black people is mythological in America. We have to be the people who say not only was it not mythological, this was real, and in fact, this was regular. This was just who we is, who we be. Somebody else tore it down so often that future generations, in many instances, never got a chance to see it.
So how do we, those of you who are, not part of Nubia, and only 54 people got to experience this first ever rites of passage digitally, virtually. It was beyond anything. I actually used some of the growth that I had experienced over the last 8 weeks. Today I had an encounter, and I was like, I have to lean into forgiveness and be more mature about it. And so I want to say thank you, because I'm a slash and burn. I'm like, yeah, it's black and white. If it ain't
Yes.
right, it's got to go. And I don't have a lot of capacity for the nonsense, and whatever falls out from it, I know I'm righteous in it, But even in being righteous, there's still a responsibility to make sure that people who aren't righteous or who aren't quite there has to be a bridge built. And I've never been good at building bridges, if I'm being honest. I'm not going to build a bridge for just everybody to walk across. I'm going to have to check the temperature and make sure it's good before you cross this bridge. But there's even space to be able to create ways for people to get to the bridge,
Absolutely.
And so I want to thank you for that. As I think about, yesterday and having this conversation about being better elders, being better ancestors, and the responsibility. And you asked me last night, why this, and it's because of that. How do we get more people to recognize the need to go through something like this?
Yes. The first thing that I think the rites of passage showed me too, Karen, and I was thinking about it last night because it has just been so magical and so fantastic and so amazing. And that is, we need some unapologetically black-centered and black-only spaces. Unapologetically so. So that what we say we don't fear will get into the wrong hands. We need to be able to strategize without looking over our shoulders somewhere. You can't win a war without being able to strategize among yourselves as soldiers and as warriors. And we need that. Right now, every single where we gather, somebody else is looking over our shoulders practically. We've got to build some institutions that are for us only. Only. I saw that in this. And the way it freed us to be ourselves was part of the success of it. Right? The other thing that I think is extremely, extremely important, which I've said several times before, is, and I'm almost to the point where I think I would almost quit what I'm doing to start it, and that is, we have got to get the freedom schools back.
Yeah.
We have to get them back because the knowledge level is fledgling, and we've got to get a place where we don't have to have somebody else's sanction, somebody else's accreditation in order to teach what we know will transform the lives of our people.
What does that even look like?
That looks like borrowing churches on Saturday mornings. I told a friend yesterday, almost every single black church I know is empty on Saturday. Almost every, so the infrastructure, the venues are already there. They're already in the community. They're already there. Just to borrow the church from say 9 to noon, and gather up 50 kids in this church, 50 kids in that one, 50 kids in this one, 50 kids in that one, and go to teaching like our very souls depend upon it. And that's what they did in the freedom schools in the 50s and 60s. And that's how you get Bob Moses, who is transforming the world, right? This is how you get Fannie Lou Hamer. This is how you get Stokely Carmichael, et cetera, et cetera. It's our turn to do it now. And we have enough people with enough knowledge to get that going.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will